Greetings, Iain from RTO here. Welcome to another Battle of the Debuts, where we take two debut albums, pit them against each other and see which is the best. And then you can have your say as well in the comments below. So today we're doing the battle of the Britpop movement from the 90s. We're talking about Blur and Oasis. So first up today is Blur. Blur formed in 1988, and the group is Damon Albarn on vocals and keyboards, etc. On guitars we have Graham Coxon, bass Alex James and Making Cheese, and drummer Dave Rowntree. So their first album debuted in 1991 called Leisure, and it incorporated the sounds of the Manchester and showgazing. So they're influenced by groups such as the Kinks, Beatles and XTC. Interesting thing, the cover was taken in May 1954 by Charles Hewitt for a picture post fashion feature in bathing hats called Glamour in the Swim. So we've got Damon Albarn, Graham Cox and Alex James, Dave Rowntree doing the music. Production, it was quite a lot of people helped produce this. Steve Lovell, Steve Power, Mike Thorne and Stephen Street. So the first track on here is called She's So High. It's got a real 60s groove to this. It's got some really nice guitar work on this. It's a really good track, good opener. Then we get Bang. Interesting track. It's got some interesting arrangements, but there is quite a catchy tune in there, so it isn't too bad at all. Slow Down. Again, it's one of these catchy tunes that really gets into your head. You know, I was thinking about it now, it's going through my head, so that's the effect it has on me. Then we get repetition, sorry. It's quite gentle at the start, and then it goes into this really heavy riff. Pretty good track. Then we get Bad Day. Good guitar work on this, and even in this one we get a little bit of an accordion, which gives it a little bit of extra depth. Pretty good. Then we get Sing. I'm not a fan of this. This just sounds very dreary, lackluster, going round in circles. What we're going to do now, you know, it doesn't seem to need to get off the roundabout, and there's no place to get off it. Then we get There's a No Other Way. Love this. I love that jazzy, funky guitar sound at the beginning. Really good track, that does work. Then we get my favourite track on this album, Fool. I love this one. It's got that, definitely that 60s influence. You know, Kinks and Beatles. Really good track. Come Together, nothing to do with the Beatles track. This is a nice little rocker. It's got a nice riff to it. Pretty good track. High Call. Great bass line here from Alex James. Really is strong. Really drives that song along. Birthday, very psychedelic. This is very Beatles. This is Sgt. Pepper's White Album era. Very, very good. Wear Me Down, the last track, solid track, some nice riffs in this. Great drumming from Dave Rowntree. Excellent. So I think this is a pretty good debut album. Really strong songs. I don't think Blur had actually worked out what they were going to be doing, but I like the mixture. You can feel that Beatles vibe and the Kinks in this album, and XTC. You know their influences. You just listen to little bits of these tracks and you go, yeah, you know, you can tell where they're influenced from. So what did the old critics think? Well, Leisure received mixed reviews from the British music press. A highly enthusiastic Dave Kavanagh from Select magazine said the four Blur boys have guaranteed themselves a hefty leg up in the being taken seriously stakes and thrills they have carved into the grooves of Leisure. He concluded that Leisure, in a short, is one of the happiest occasions when the hype is dead right. Paul Davies from Q rated the album 4 out of 5 and felt it fulfilled the early promise Blur showcased. The latest bunch of floppy fringe cadets in baggy clothing should consummate their pop romance in fine style. Davies elaborated for Leisure is a substantially stocked treasure of chest of hit singles just waiting to happen. So the most important thing, the stars, All Music gave it 3 stars. Drowned in Sound, what a name for 8 out of 10. The Encyclopedia of Popular Music gave it 3. Entertainment Weekly gave it an A-. Pitchfork gave it 5.8 out of 10. Q gave it 4 stars. The Rolling Stone Album Guide, our favourite, 2 and a bit stars, go away. Select 5 out of 5 smash hits. Remember that? 8 out of 10. How did the fans think of it? Well, it got to number 7 in the UK charts and it got a gold disc. Pretty good, pretty good. So the nuts and bolts of this one. Song quality. I think there's still got a lot to learn on this one, because if you listen to later Blur albums, their songwriting got better. I mean, there's some terrific stuff on this, but I think they just were still in them tender years. So I'll give this a 3 out of 5. Production on this one, very good production, really crisp, nothing bad about the production on this, so I'll give it a 4 out of 5. Reception, I think it was really well received, and fans liked it, critics liked it, I like it. So I'm going to give the reception 4 out of 5. Okay, cover design, I think it's pretty eye-catching. One of the most iconic covers of the 90s. So I'm going to give it 4 out of 5. So totting up them scores gives Leisure by Blur a total of 15 out of 20. Good start. So roll in the next contestant, please. And our next contestant, of course, is Oasis. Again, formed in Manchester in 1991. Originally known as The Rain, the group were initially consisted of Liam Gallagher, lead vocals and tambourine, Paul Arthur's guitar, Paul McGuigan on bass, and Tony McCarroll on drums. Then they obviously they went out touring, and then when they returned to Manchester, Liam's older brother Noel joined as the 5th member, and this is when they changed their name to Oasis. They had various lineups, but the Gallagher brothers remained the same. Yeah, there's lots about this band, isn't there? They didn't. They liked to air their dirty washing publicly, didn't they? So they signed to the record label Creation Records in 1993, and the following year their debut album Definitely Maybe was released on the 29th of August, and it was the last. There was the only studio had them 5 original members, because Tony McCarroll was fired in 1995. They recorded it, didn't like it, then they re-recorded it. So we got Liam Gallagher on vocals and production, Noel Gallagher lead guitar, bass guitar, Paul Arthur's on the rhythm, Paul McGuigan on bass, and Tony McCarroll on the drums. So first track on here is called Rock and Roll Star. This is a great track. It's a great little rocker, and it certainly kicks, but it is really good. Shakermaker, some really nice guitar work here from Noel Gallagher. Pretty good guitar player. Very impressed with that track. Live Forever, it's all right. It's a bit dreary. Liam sounds like he's had enough already on this. Oh, this is boring. I'll just have to sing it. Then we get Up in the Sky. This to me is something that's a cross between the Beatles and the Monkees. It's my favourite track. It's terrific. I love that opening riff. It's got the melodies of the Beatles and the funness of the Monkees. Pretty good track. Then we get Columbia. A good track. Some solid riffs on this. Great guitar work from Noel. I really like it, and it's a very good vocal from Liam. Then we get Supersonic, of course. Everybody knows about Supersonic. Popular song. It's pretty solid. Bring Me Down. Really good track, full of energy. I love the drumming from Tony McCarroll on this. Pretty good track. Cigarettes and Alcohol. Everyone knows this one. Musically, I think it's good, but I think Liam's voice is so whiny and gold. He didn't seem to. When he sometimes sang, he didn't show the enthusiasm that the rest of the band was. He come across sometimes as, I really couldn't be bothered to sing this, and in that track, I think he's that. Digsy's Dinner, bit of a naff filler track for me. Slide Away, it's okay, but I think the guitar work from Noel is very good. Married with Children, this is the Beatles influence. Over influenced so much Beatles. I mean, to the fact that Liam Gallagher thinks they were the best thing since the Beatles. Yeah. Good track though, I don't mind that. I think this is a really good album. It's got some terrific songs on it. The playmanship of the band is brilliant. Noel Gallagher has always been a really good guitarist. But I really should have liked this band. I like their style. But what put me off this band? Liam Gallagher. I think he's quite obnoxious, cocky. And the thing is, he had some talent. I don't know if it was a showboating to get the publicity, but it's a shame because I love the music, but it's one of them bands I don't mind listening to them, but I don't like seeing them. If that makes sense. Made some really good tracks through their career. But for the pompousness of Liam Gallagher, it really put me off the band. That's what I think. What did the critics think? Well, the critics thought definitely maybe was critically acclaimed and was a commercial success, of course. With many critics and listeners welcoming the album's fearless optimism, particularly in an era of rock that was dominated by American grunge. Noel's songwriting and melodic skills, along with Liam's vocals, received particular praise. Keith Cameron of the NME called Noel a pop craftsman. and definitely maybe it's the title that everything else screams certainly, in the fact that there is too much left, much health up, bleh. Shall I start that one again? Definitely maybe it's the title, in its title, everything else screams certainly. The fact is that that too much heartfelt emotion, ingenious belief and patient songwriting savvy rushes through the debut album. What did the Chicago Times gave it 3 and a bit stars. Fort Worth Telegram gave it 4 and a bit. NME gave it a 9 out of 10. Q 4 out of 5 stars. Select 5 out of 5, and Box 8 out of 10. Did well in the charts ish. Got to number 23, but they went on to more success, and they had lots of good singles, pretty iconic songs. So what's the nuts and bolts of this one? Song quality. Noel Gallagher is a great songwriter, I can't deny that. Out of the two brothers, I think he's the more sensible one. I think he's the more talented one. So I'm going to give that a 4 out of 5. Production. Excellent production on this. Really sounds good. You know, considering what was going on in the music industry at the time, grunge was there. It was all the rap and dance and all that sort of nonsense. But this is definitely a proper rock album. So I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. Reception. Went down well with the press. I know 23 in the charts doesn't seem to say that it wasn't so popular, but I know they were popular, you know. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Cover design. That's not a bad cover. You know it's Oasis. It's one of them iconic covers of the 90s. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. So that gives definitely maybe a total of 17 out of 20. So it's definitely a clear winner today. But which is the better album? I have to give this one to Oasis on debut album. I think it just a little bit more edgy, a little bit more rocky, and they had a clear purpose of what they wanted to do. With Blur, although that Leisure album is terrific, there is still a little bit which way to swing, which way we're going to go. They're still trying to work out what they wanted to do. But with this, with Definitely Maybe, I think Oasis knew what they wanted to do from the word go, and that's why I think it makes it a stronger album. Okay, what do you think? Who do you think's better? Who do you think was the better Brit band? Blur or Oasis? All you got to do in the comments, if just put Blur or Oasis or your favourite album. Let's see which one it is. Let's have the definitive of the people that watch RTO. Who out of these two bands were the better band? Musically or thing. But I mean, musically it was Oasis for me. But as a band and personalities, it was Blur. It's very, very, very hard to pick this one. Okay, that's all for now. Sorry I made an awful cock up when I'm reading, but when you're trying to look at you, read as well, you sort of get lost in the track of things sometimes. But I'll be back later. We've got some album artwork, and we're looking at a little treasure of the United Kingdom, the one and only Mr. Ozzy Osbourne's album artwork. And then later we'll be back at 8 PM for the live stream. So bye for now.